We're continuing our series on reading and our mental well-being and why reading is so important for your health and mental well-being. If you haven't seen my previous videos, please look back in this playlist, and I cover all different topics to why reading is very good for you and how everybody should get into the habit of reading. And please like and subscribe, and please comment today as we talk about reading, and let's get stuck into this video. Today we're going to be talking about building empathy and connections through reading. What? Have you ever heard of that before? Well, it is possible, and we're going to have a look at why and how that works. I am an author, but I'm an author of self-help books. I don't write fictions. I talk about health, well-being. I talk about my faith journey. I talk about Christian theology in my books to help people with their well-being, because I look at life holistically, that we are mind, body, and we are soul. And so I look at faith holistically, I look at wellness holistically, and so I'm a non-fiction writer. But fiction has an amazing power to make you well, and particularly in the empathy department and making connections with other people. You may wonder, how does that work? Well, let's have a look at it briefly. Studies has shown that particularly literary fiction enhances our ability to understand other people's emotions, other people's thoughts, and other people's motivations. In my last video, I talked about understanding ourselves through fictional reading. Today, we're talking about understanding others. As I have shared in previous videos, that I am dyslexic, and I am very dyslexic. I was assessed by an educational psychologist over a 2-day period at university, and she said to me, how on earth have you survived this far with the level of dyslexia that you have? And of course, dyslexia stops us reading. And when I was assessed it was in my mid-50s, so I've spent most of my life not reading or trying to read, but I have studied. I was a hairdresser and beautician. I did 3 years of school, struggled through it, but I did it. I did nursing. I struggled through it, but I did it. I did a theological bachelor's degree without knowing I was dyslexic. I struggled through it, but I did it, and none of it was enjoyable to me because, as I said, I didn't know I was dyslexic. I didn't have the tools. But one downside to it as well is that because reading helps us to understand others through the fictional characters, that it really I wasn't learning about people's emotions. I wasn't thinking about other people. I wasn't thinking about the empathy with other people. I was thinking more about myself. And since I'm now 69, I'm going to be 70 in about 7 months. I'm an avid reader. I've done a Master's of Arts in psychotherapy, and I've done other theological degrees as well. And I've noticed that I'm able to empathize with people a lot more, and the reason why is because of my avid reading has upped my skills. So then when I engage with people, I actually can listen to what they're actually saying and engage with their emotions. And reading has done that for me, and research has proved that study actually does help us improve our compassion for other people. If we react to it properly, we may be reading a fictional book and our character is going through a terrible time. Your reactions to that character will either help develop you in the compassion department, or go, oh well, I couldn't care less, what are they fussing about, I can't understand what all the hoo-ha is about. And so really, if we engage with the pain that our character is going through, that we'll be able to have a little insight to what it is like for them. And so if we have that habit of reading fictional characters and their problems, their struggles, then it'll be so much easier to listen to other people's problems. And I had somebody say to me, well, I've had several people say to me, well, I couldn't care less about the struggles of other people. You know, I really care about myself. And I had one person particularly say to me, I just don't like people. Well, I find that very sad, because we can find peace and joy, our own mental well-being, as we connect with other people, because we are made to live in community. We are made to be part of one another, and reading will help us to engage in our imagination in a community level. So when we actually are going out and connecting, it'll be so much easier for us, because we're learning it on the fictional page, on the fictional scenario. We're sort of practicing it, if you will, and then we go out, and then it gives us so much more confidence, and we've got the equipment, we've got the tools to be able to cope. And just like after I knew that I was dyslexic, I was able to learn the tools that helped me to cope with my dyslexia, so I could learn to read and enjoy reading and engage with all of these fictional characters and doing my studies, and enhance my life so much, and in turn it enhances our social life as well. You know, this phenomenon of our emotional empathy being developed, and our understanding of other people's emotions and what they're going through fiction, is called a particular thing in research. It's called the theory of mind. The theory of mind is the capacity to be able to recognize other people's beliefs, their desires, and their perspectives that are completely different from our own. And this is really important in our friendships, because nobody is going to agree with 100% of what I believe. And so if we develop a theory of mind, we'll be able to provide the tools, develop the tools to be able to listen to other people's different beliefs and their perspectives. And you know, in my psychotherapy practice, I have people who think that cutting off people is the way to cope with difficult relationships or with difficult feelings. And it's quite popular. You know, you go on to YouTube, you see programs, and the modern way seems to be, you just cut them off. They're toxic relationships, you don't need them. But this is not a way to cope with relationships, because we're not doing our own self-development. If we want to develop as people, is that we are able to cope with different people in different situations, to hear different people's perspectives and beliefs, develop a theory of mind, and that we become more stronger, courageous persons from it. Instead of arguing our point with people and shoving our beliefs down somebody's throat or cutting them off because they don't agree with us, is a very immature way to act, and it doesn't do anything for our own personal self-development, our own personal mental well-being, and certainly not our friendships. Because if we're cutting off everybody who doesn't agree with us, we're going to end up with no friends, because I have lots of friends, and with all my friends I share different things with them. We enjoy different things. One group of friends, I go walking with them and I really enjoy it. Other group of friends is my church friends, and we meet at church and we do activities together. Another group of friends, I'm part of a choir and we sing together. Another group of friends, we talk about books and readings. Another group of friends, we go out for meals and we enjoy social. So many different friends can bring so much wonder and joy into our lives, and we can bring wonder and joy into their lives. But with all these friends, we're not going to agree with everything that we believe and as perspective is on. So we need to develop a theory of mind where we can listen and we can learn, and we don't have to agree, but we can agree to disagree. And it's called maturity. So cutting off people because it's a toxic relationship, or it makes us feel sad or makes us feel bad, is not a way to grow as a human being. And reading will help us to explore the different narratives and different personality types, different perspectives, so we can work it out on the page in our storylines. And so when we encounter it for the real, we are better prepared. Having the theory of mind helps us to step in the shoes of somebody else. You know, I have written a book, Nothing Good About Grief. It's been revised and I'll be republishing it soon, so have a look on Amazon. It's Paula Parish, me the author, Nothing Good About Grief, and it's all about the process of grief and how I've developed a therapeutic intervention to be able to walk you through the process of grief into healing. But within that book, I've got a story about the person who wrote the song, He Ain't Heavy, He's My Brother. And I've talked about the background to that, where the person who wrote that song, where they actually got the idea from. And it was from a Scottish minister. And the minister came across somebody in the street who was carrying their brother. Now, this is way back in the early 19th, late 18th, something or other. And this brother was huge, just a huge baby, and he couldn't walk. He should have walked, but he couldn't have walked. And the priest went up to this little boy and says, "Oh, you're carrying a heavy burden there, heavy load. Are you okay?" And the little brother said, "He ain't heavy, he's my brother," and struggled off with his brother. And it was just so this song, He Ain't Heavy, He's My Brother, got written, and it's been popular for the last 40 years and still is in 2024. But it's a lesson for all of us that when something is heavy, if somebody is heavy, if somebody we think may be a burden to us, we just don't cast them off, but we carry them. And that is good for self-development. And particularly if we're Christians, that's what we're supposed to be doing, because that's what Jesus did. And so developing this theory of mind through fictional characters will help us to carry each other's burdens and have friends. I have friends who are very ill, and I help them, and I do what I can for them. But I have other people, other clients that as soon as a friend becomes ill or something, they cast them aside. They don't visit them because I don't want to be tangled up in that, they say. They don't want to be burdened by that friend or by that family member. And I know as a nurse, I used to be a nurse once upon a time, and I can tell you story after story, and I'll probably, if you want me to make a video about it, I will, about people who have cast their elderly relatives off, their mothers, their fathers, their aunties, their sisters and their brothers, because now they're disabled, now they are a burden to them, and they just don't want anything to do with them, and because they're just too heavy and they're toxic, and I'm too busy for it, they think. That's not living, and it's not humanity, and it's certainly not love. But working through these type of scenarios as you are reading through into your fictional characters will help you develop feelings of empathy and understanding about that sick person. What is that sick person might be going through? How are they feeling? What is their pain? What is their loneliness? What struggles are they coping with from day to day? And what help do they need to cope with those struggles that you may be able to help them with? And reading can do all of that for us. So it's so important to develop the habit of reading, to develop compassion, can develop an understanding of other people's perceptions, perspectives and beliefs. And so if you are an avid reader, write down in the comments to why are you an avid reader? What has it done for you? Has it helped you? Has it helped with your mental health? Because we're coming out of Mental Health Awareness Week, and we're specifically talking about reading for mental health and total well-being. But if you're not a reader and you would like to be, have these videos helped you and encouraged you to start reading? If you're an avid reader and you've never thought about these points about reading before, has it opened your eyes in some way? And if so, I'll put a link down to my blog, because I have so much more there for you in how reading can help with overall wellness, holistic wellness, mental and physical and spiritual and emotional health. Well, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for visiting me here in Wellness for Women. Remember, your wellness matters, and you haven't got yesterday, it's gone. You haven't got tomorrow because it ain't here yet, but you have got today. So that's why your wellness is important. To concentrate on your wellness today, to live life on purpose, which means concentrate on today. And I'll see you